right, so one last tool that scientists use to help them trace how genes are passed from one generation to the next, and that is called a pedigree. A pedigree is simply another way to help find genotypes, and it is a graphic representation of an individual's family tree. If you've ever seen family trees drawn where you have like mom and dad and then their babies, and if the babies got married, then the grandbabies, okay? That's a pedigree. And it lets us see and figure out patterns of inheritance. All right, so this is what a pedigree looks like. This would be the pedigree. So here you have your mom and your dad. They had 3 children. One of the children mated and had babies. All right? So a couple of things are true when you are looking at pedigrees, okay, no matter what. Squares, no matter if they're black or white, it doesn't matter. Squares represent male. Circles represent females. Always. Dogs, cats, birds, horses, mice, doesn't matter. Squares are for male, circles are for female. Okay? A line drawn horizontally, right here. Line drawn horizontally means they mated. In humans, a lot of times we use that for married, but it literally just means that they created children. And when you drop a line down off of that horizontal line, that is showing offspring. All right? Always, always, always. Now, the shading. The black one, the white one, the black one, the white one. Usually a shading is used to designate that an individual has a trait. That trait is different depending on what you're looking at. Sometimes the trait is the recessive trait. Sometimes the trait is the dominant trait. It changes from one pedigree to the other. So a lot of times you're trying to figure out what trait's dominant and what's recessive. And pedigrees will help you figure that out. So what we have here is we have the mating of this man and this woman. They've had children. They've had 3 children. They've had 2 boys and they've had a girl. All right? And that girl has mated and that girl has had 2 children, which is 2 boys. All right? And so that's how you read that. And now you can work with information from here and all in order to figure out what's dominant and what's recessive. All right, so let's look at using that information to figure out what's dominant and what's recessive. So let's go back to that. Let's say you have mom mates with dad, okay, and mom and dad have some babies. Okay, and one of their babies also mates and has a baby. Okay? So we've got 3 generations, first generation, second generation, third generation. All right? Mom and dad had 2 sons and a daughter. Daughter mated and had a daughter. Okay? So let's say we're going to make this one shaded. And we're going to make this one shaded. All right? And so now we want to figure out if dominant is empty or shaded. Okay? And this is what I want you to think about. Okay? Let's say that we called the empty ones recessive. That would make the filled in ones dominant. If mom has little a, and dad has little a, is there any way for the baby to get a big A? There's not, is there? Where could it have come from? Can't come from anywhere, can it? So we know, based on this, that the light colors must have been dominant, because can a dominant parent have a recessive baby? Yes, because remember, to show the trait, they got to be homozygous recessive, and that can happen if both dominant parents are heterozygous. And so we now know that the unshaded shapes are dominant, shaded shapes are recessive, and now we got to figure out these two. We know they're dominant, correct? But we're trying to figure out what they are. All right? Right now we don't know, because there's no more information. They might have gotten a big A and a big A from their parent, so they might be homozygous dominant. Maybe they got a big A from one parent, a little a from the other. So they were heterozygous, but we don't have enough information. But if one of them mates and has a baby that is recessive, now we know that one has to have a little a, because how else will this get to be little a, little a? And so until they have another baby, we don't know. Okay, hope that makes sense. Please let me know of any questions.